Trinidad Chambliss took college football by storm last season, coming from D2 Ferris State to taking over as a starter at Ole Miss, leading the Ole Miss Rebels all the way to the college football semifinal and almost winning the Heisman Trophy. So going into year two, I wanted to dive into the film against Miami and see how good is Trinidad Chambliss really, and does he have the potential to not only win the Heisman Trophy, but could he ultimately win Ole Miss their first national championship in program history, and could he also be a first-round pick in the 2027 NFL Draft? Let's dive into the film. The first thing that I want to point out when going over Trinidad Chambliss' film is just his incredible pre-snap recognition and also his anticipation that I think is probably the best out of any quarterback I've seen in college football in quite some time. I'm talking about going all the way back to a guy like Joe Burrow in 2019. Check this out. Here you see we're going to line up in what we would call slot left as a formation, right? You got two wide receivers to this side, tight end lined up in that H-back position, and then ultimately a receiver out wide, kind of tighter to the formation. But here we motion the tight end out, Daquan right, and when we do that, we see a couple things. We see they roll down this strong side safety, and then they ultimately kind of give us this one high look here because of it. So we know as Trinidad pre-snap here, this guy is probably going to either roll to the middle of the field or they're going to give us cover zero and he's going to be one-on-one with this receiver. And we know Miami's probably not going to give us cover zero because they just don't do that much, right? So what we're expecting here is cover three. And because of that, we're going to have Daquan Wright on the outside on this little 5-yard hitch. And then we're going to have a post from our slot receiver because we're trying to get into this window to beat cover three in between the linebackers, on top of them and underneath the safety. But we know if we just run it directly at this linebacker, he's going to kind of bump us and get in the way of our timing and anticipation on this. So our receiver is going to kind of bend this post out and then break it back in. And watch this NFL level anticipation from Trinidad Chambliss right here. Gets to that back foot, hits that ball in that tight window right there. Look, directly past the linebacker before he gets to this one, protects him by putting the ball on him. That's an elite level throw right there. And you can just see kind of the poise that he has in the pocket and the processing ability to help him anticipate throws like this. And this is just the first one. But to do this at this level against this talented of a defense at this big of a moment shows that there's something special about Trinidad Chambliss, right? And it doesn't stop there at all. I want you to look at this one right here. Once again, same type of look, except instead of being this H-back position as the tight end, we're in a wing position, and we don't motion him out right here. But what we're going to have caught up is just a Y-cross type of concept. And what Miami's going to do is they're going to drop their linebacker back into this window right here, which is supposed to take this away, and then they're going to send a blitz from the outside. They caught up a ton of cat blitzes all game, which would be corner, specifically slot corner blitzes. You call them nail or cat. If it's the nickel, you call it nail. If it's a plain corner on the outside, you call it cat. So they caught up a ton of different DB blitzes all game. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to overload the left side right here, drop a guy out from the middle right into this window. And if you're looking at this right here, you'd say, okay, this is completely covered up. You really have no option. Yes, you could maybe fire this curl in over here as this corner playing the flat is probably going to drive down on this. But no, Trinidad is going to throw this crosser as he's about to get nailed by this DB coming in on the blitz. And he's going to put it right in that window perfectly. Keeps it on his receiver so his receiver doesn't get drilled. I mean, this is an NFL level throw. The reason a guy like Ty Simpson got drafted inside the top 15 in this past draft was just because of what he could possibly be as an anticipatory thrower because of what he showed in his 1 year in college. Trinidad is coming from a D2 program and really was only the starter at Ole Miss for about 10 weeks or so because he came in later in the season and he improved so much that as he's getting drilled, he's hanging in the pocket and he's anticipating this ball in this window right here, and that is a heck of a throw. And that's something you just don't see from people in college football, let alone a guy who's coming from a D2 program and is only 10 weeks into starting in the SEC, especially at this big of a stage. I mean, we're in the college football playoff semifinal right here. I mean, that's some impressive stuff right there from him. Next up right here, we're going to have game-winning drive, right? Huge moment. We've got about 35 seconds left, so we really are in a tough position. We're not in a typical 2-minute situation. We got one timeout, so we've got to just pick up a huge chunk of yards here. So what Miami's going to do is Miami's going to have 3 safeties back. They're saying you're not going to get anything deep, and we're going to play heavy outside leverage on everyone except the slot, because what we're going to do is we're going to force you to pick up like a 15-yard throw to the outside if you throw that, and it's going to be a super, super difficult throw, but it's going to waste 5-6 seconds where you're kind of not even worth it at that point. Or you're going to have to throw some type of crosser or something over the middle, and we're going to rally to the football and tackle you inside 10 yards. You're going to waste too much time pretty much. So what does Ole Miss do right here? Well, they're relying on Trinidad and showing how much trust they have in him in this moment. 3 high safety right here, and we're going to run 4 verts. And we're going to have this same type of bend type post or seam route right here. And Trinidad is going to look this safety off. He's going to try to move him to this hash like we're trying to throw it up to our big body guy and let him make a play. And we're going to rifle this football in. And this is one of the most impressive throws I've ever seen in college football. Like, to be able to make that throw in this big of a moment, we're looking the safety off, keeping him in the middle of the field, hitting our back foot, and just putting a ball on the money. I mean, there's no other place you can put that football, right? On top of the slot defender, inside of the safety far enough where he's not able to lay our receiver out. I mean, that's just, once again, NFL level anticipation and accuracy from a guy who was playing at a D2 program a year ago. So when someone says Trinidad Chambliss should be the Heisman Trophy favorite, they're not just saying stuff. I mean, we're talking about film that looks so good, he looks like a first-round draft pick as an undersized quarterback. And to put that into perspective is really mind-blowing, but the more we go in this film, you're going to see why that is and why a guy like me thinks he should even probably be a top 15 pick in the draft next year if he continues to improve the way that he did last season. Here, 17-10 ball game, 1st and 10, 46 seconds left in the second quarter. So we need a touchdown right here, or at least a field goal. We've got to put ourselves back in this game. And what we're going to do is we're going to check the play at the line right here because we see, hey, pre-snap, we've got 1 high safety. They showed us corners off at first, which was telling us, hey, we probably got cover 3. But you see they kind of press down almost like they're changing up some stuff themselves after he changes it. But then we see they're instantly going to bail right before we snap it. And that's going to tell us, yeah, we got cover 3 right here. So we're going to run a switch concept right here where we're going to switch these 2 receivers because we understand against cover 3, we want to clear this linebacker out in the middle with our slot receiver, Caden Lee, right here. And we want to get a free release into the seam, and we want to settle in that space right here. And watch the elite level of anticipation he puts on this throw to get to his back foot, ball is out. Right? And perfect accuracy comes in exactly where it needs to be on his receiver where his receiver doesn't get drilled. Like, this is NFL level stuff from Trinidad Chambliss right here. That's elite. Next play right here, pre-snap. What are they showing us? 1 high safety. We've got a safety kind of buzzed down a couple steps right here. Looks like he's maybe playing man coverage on our tight end, playing this wing position right here. Okay, we're just identifying that pre-snap. When we get to our back foot, we see, yes, we are correct about that cover 3 call, so we have to understand this guy is trying to get out to his hard flat so we don't run a curl back here behind him. This guy's responsible for the middle of the field. This guy's responsible for the middle of the field, and then this guy's playing his curl flat out here. So we understand as Trinidad, we have to get to our back foot, and we have to hit Caden Lee in this open space, and that's exactly what he does. But what I want to show you is, yes, we just saw all that good. There was incredible anticipation. There was a great job recognizing, hey, what's the defense in pre-snap and beating it. But there were more plays in this game that could have been had, and Ole Miss could have really, really won this football game and won it by a good margin if a couple of little things happened differently. So right here, I want to point out this play where, once again, pre-snap, we see, hey, 1 high safety. They're trying to give us head-up leverage, kind of making it seem like it's man coverage. And we really like our matchup, even if this is man coverage with Caden Lee in the slot. But we see as soon as we hit our back foot, he is flat-footed, which tells us we got zone coverage, specifically cover 3. And against cover 3, like I've been saying, you want to hit them up the seam. So we, knowing this safety is starting on the opposite hash, have to get to our back foot and throw this football in over this linebacker, and we can pick up a really easy touchdown right here and kind of catch them lacking. And you see that's exactly what Trinidad does, but if I slow this down right here, you'll see they just get a hand on the football. Our O-lineman gets beat instantly, and they just do an incredible job getting a finger on it. And it took what should have been a touchdown to Caden Lee right here against cover 3, where we do a great job hitting our back foot and getting it out instantly to an incompletion. This was a huge turning point in the game for Miami, in my opinion, because Ole Miss could have really, really taken the lead in this football game and kind of started to dominate right here if they picked up that touchdown. Right here, we're going to have the same type of thing, changing the play, pre-snap, see something we like, right? They come out in this 1 high safety look again, except this kind of looks like man coverage to us. Once again, head up, but you're playing 10 yards off. 1 high safety kind of buzz down, playing on this slot receiver again. So as we hit our back foot, we have to see, is this zone, is this man? If it's cover 3, we know exactly where we're going with the football, and that's what Trinidad Chambliss is going to do right here. Right? We have that same type of switch concept we saw earlier. Wallace settles in this zone, but Wallace is supposed to work his way back to the football here because we want to take advantage of all this open space that Miami's giving us, and this is a really far, difficult throw, and this outside corner right here has nothing kind of forcing him vertical because we don't have a wheel right here from Caden Lee, right? So he has to drive in on this football and not allow the DB to make up ground. And instead, Wallace kind of just sits there expecting himself to be open. DB's able to come in and break it up. I'd probably say this is PI a little bit. I don't mind letting him play, but he's clearly there early, right? But this is a situation where if Wallace just comes back to the football, we're talking about a third down incompletion that goes to, hey, we're driving, we're in field goal range easily, and we're definitely probably going to score a touchdown this drive. Instead, we take the really long field goal. Thankfully, incredible kicker makes it, but that's just one of those situations where it's like, dang, if we could have just completed that football, how different does this football game look? Right here, we're going to motion in Deuce Alexander. When we motion in Deuce Alexander, once again, one high safety, outside corners are playing about 7 to 10 yards off. Outside leverage kind of eyes on the quarterback. So that's telling us, hey, when he motions in, he doesn't follow. We got cover 3 once again. We're going to have a win route right here is what you would call it, or a deep cross by our point receiver. We're going to have a drift route, really popular in West Coast systems, especially in the NFL, where we're trying to really hit this huge area of open space on top of this linebacker and work our way back to the football. And then we're just going to have an out right here where we want to really hold this corner and kind of push this nickel defender outside so we can hit this drift. And watch, this is something that Trinidad's looking to. Eyes are over there. We want to hit it, but our O-line just gets beat instantaneously. And props to Miami, right? They have a great D-line, and this is what allowed them to really take control of this football game in the way they did. But you can just see here, if our receivers work their way back to the football a little better, if our O-line holds up for an extra second, we go from like getting shut out in this game for a couple of drives to saying, hey, we're driving and we are scoring touchdowns just about every single time we're touching the football because of who we have under center in Trinidad Chambliss. And it's a testament to how good he really is. And it's just one of those things where we try to make a play, we try to escape because we know it's going to come open, but they just have too many guys off the stunts right here for us to really be able to do anything to combat it. Here, I want to look at this situation. 3rd and 8, 4th quarter, 4 minutes left in the game. We have got to make a play. What do we see here? We motion our slot receiver across, Caden Lee. When we motion him across, his man follows him across the formation, so that tells us we got man coverage. So what we want to do is we want to clear this area with Daquan, right? And we want to let our outside receiver just win with all this space in the middle work. Even though they have inside leverage, we're trusting that our receiver can win right here. And Trinidad Chambliss does exactly that. Gets to his back foot, gets the football out, and we just barely miss because the DB is getting a little bit grabby here at the top of the route. Flag ends up getting thrown. Lets us replay the down, and when we replay the down, later we're going to look at it, makes a play with his legs, and just does what an elite quarterback does, and that's call his own number from time to time and say, hey, I'm going to make a play. Here, I do want to say his anticipation that we talked about, his accuracy that we talked about, all this stuff, incredible, especially for a college quarterback. But he still does have a little bit of something to work on. And you're going to see right here, we're going to be running that same type of drift route, just not as deep right here. This is going to be more like a bang 8 type of thing where Caden Lee is wrapping over this linebacker. We call this a capture in our terminology. Wrapping over this linebacker and then coming back to the football. We really want to emphasize being under the safeties because anytime we're getting a too high look like this, that's our goal. We want to be on top of the linebackers, under the safeties. And watch Trinidad. Gets to his back foot right here. Ball needs to be out at the second. He needs to throw his receiver open into the space, protect him, allow him not to get hit. Instead, Trinidad watches for it to be open, gets there a little bit late, still completes it, but you see his receiver gets absolutely decked. And great job hanging on this football by Caden Lee. But that's one of those situations where usually with college quarterbacks, you're waiting for your guy to get open and then you're throwing it to him. For the NFL, specifically for a guy we want to see as a top 15, top 10 pick, we want to throw guys open. And Trinidad does a great job of that from time to time, but there are still moments, especially throwing over the middle in these tighter areas where he just wants to see it be open first. And that's not a knock on him at all. Like I said, you're not getting very many college quarterbacks, even with the level of anticipation that Trinidad has. But this is the moment that this ball should be coming out of his hand. We take an extra half second to confirm it's open, and Lee gets blasted. And if he drops this football, this potentially changes this game and makes it even harder for us to ultimately score a touchdown on this drive. Right here, even though we do a great job processing things pre-snap and knowing exactly where we should go with the football, there's still time to time where this happens with a lot of Ole Miss quarterbacks, and it could be coaching, it could be a million different things, where it almost seems like pre-snap we've made our mind up what we're going to do with the football. And that's exactly what we're going to have here. We're going to have a Yankee concept called up, right, which is just going to be a deep post and then a crosser. We're trying to high-low the middle of field safety. If he comes down, we throw the post. If he stays high, we throw the crosser. But what you always have to be cautious of on these plays is the backside corners. right? So we got to make sure this guy on the crosser isn't coming in to pick something off, and we got to make sure he doesn't get a ton of depth. And if both of those things happen, we got to get to our check down really quickly. Watch what Trinidad does here, right? We motion him across. We see, hey, we got zone coverage, one high look. We get really excited. We're about to take the big shot play. But what we need to notice is this DB has dropped and he's driven down on the crosser. So we need to get to our check down really quick in Caden Lee before we get sacked, step up in the pocket, get to our check down. Instead, he throws it up and it's almost an interception. And thankfully it's not, but you would just love for him to step up in the pocket here, say, hey, this DB is pushed vertical. He's kept gaining ground because there's nothing holding him short, and we just need to get to our check down and get it out of our hand. Unfortunately, Trinidad doesn't do that. Almost throws what probably should have been an interception here and would have really sealed Ole Miss's fate in this game. And that's just something that happens from time to time. Jackson Dart, Austin Simmons, Matt Corral, Trinidad Chambliss, any Ole Miss quarterback in the Lane Kiffin type system, you see from time to time where they just don't always do a great job confirming post-snap because maybe they're being told pre-snap, hey, if you get this, you have to throw it. You have to throw it. And sometimes that just doesn't always play out exactly like a coach, like someone like me would say it probably should, because DBs are smart too. They get paid too, right? Right here, I just want to say he's also really good in quick game, especially outside the numbers, right? Does a great job reading these key defender type reads most of the time, where if he's really processing it post-snap, hey, he stays on my hook. Okay, I hit my flat, allow my guy to make a play. Unfortunately, he has to get down to a knee here because we're probably a millisecond late getting this ball out of our hand, but whatever. Okay, right here, we're getting a pick play in quick game, get to our back foot, anticipate the out. Great job. Unfortunately, receiver drops. This is one you absolutely hate to see because this is, once again, a game-changing type of play where if our receivers and our O-line and everyone's just executing the way they probably should, they're really helping us out and we're able to beat Miami in this football game, maybe even win the national championship. Here, second down, DB's playing off, head-up leverage, goes to the inside a little bit. Incredible throw right here. Keeping him in bounds, letting him make a play, but also keeping it outside of this linebacker that's trying to get to this flat really quickly. Just, once again, good in quick game. But also, what I mentioned, sometimes he will make up his mind pre-snap what he's doing, and it'll put him in a bad situation. And here's an example of that, right? We're motioning Caden Lee across on a jet-type motion, and once again, key defender type read, right? If this guy stays inside, we have got to throw this flat, or we need to try to scramble around and make something happen or get rid of the football. But if he stays inside like this, we absolutely cannot throw this hitch. What's Trinidad going to do? He made up his mind pre-snap that he was going to throw it, ends up almost throwing what probably should have been a pick six and would have lost us the game immediately. Thankfully, Miami drops it, but once again, this is one of those situations where we got to read out what the defender is doing and make the right decision. A 1 yard gain where we're tackled in the flat is better than a pick six. Okay, right here, I want to point out, once again, he's really, really good when he's understanding what the defense is giving him pre-snap and he's making a play off of it. Right here, we're going to have a seam hitch type look from earlier in the game, like we kind of saw with that post where we got the little hitch on the outside and then we got the seam kind of taking it vertical. We can bend it back in if this linebacker pushes out, and we really are reading this outside defender. We're high-lowing him and we're saying if he goes vertical, then we're going to hit the underneath, and that's exactly what Trinidad does. Right, so you see, we talked about all the mistakes of like, hey, making up his mind pre-snap what he's going to do. Unfortunately, almost throws a pick. But here you see when he's actually reading the field post-snap, he's very capable of doing it. And he has a ton of NFL traits, like the athleticism you want to look for, the touch on the deep ball that you want to look for. And he's really, really good at anticipating his throws. He's good at pre-snap processing, and he's good at post-snap processing when he actually takes the time to do it. You're going to see that here, right? Resets to the outside, looks at the seam, realizes 8 is dropping, gets instantly to his hitch. Great job. Here, we're going to have a flood concept, right? And the whole idea with the flood concept is we have the outside receiver pushing him vertical. We want to hold the flat right here with either a whip or an out, just anything like that, maybe even a hitch. And then we have the deep corner from Daquan Wright right here, the tight end. You see, one stays flat. Trinidad wants to make sure he doesn't throw a pick to 24, so he puts it on his big body tight end, lets him make a play on the football. Great risk-free play right here, throwing it to Daquan Wright on the flood concept, right? And it's just as simple as just reading that flat defender and making sure you know what he's doing. Same exact thing here, right? We're going to run flood again. Caden Lee keeps this flat defender down. We see his back turns instantly, which tells us we can actually lead him to the outside on this throw, and we can really let him make a play. Same thing happened here. This was the touchdown to put them ahead and maybe win this football game. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Motion out. Keywan Lacey right here. And same exact thing, right? That flood type of look of vertical corner, flat. Instead, we're going scissors right here where we're going post to really take this corner out of the play. Corner, flat, and throw a heck of a football anticipated into Daquan Wright. Great job right here by Trinidad Chambliss, as you see. Heck of a football. Heck of just the it factor that you have, right? To be in the college football semifinal and walk down the field, game-winning drive, this should have been it, right? Unfortunately, defense couldn't get a stop, but we're talking about a quarterback who has the it factor. He has the anticipation. He has the pre-snap processing. He has the pro-snap processing. We're talking about a guy who should have probably won the Heisman Trophy last year, not even playing for the first 3 games of the season. So we're talking about elite level quarterback who, like I said, probably going to win the Heisman Trophy this next season, going to lead Ole Miss back to the college football playoffs, has a chance to win the national championship, and a guy who probably should be a first-round pick, right? Once again, though, right, same type of flood concept right here. And like I said, there are some moments where he does make up his mind pre-snap, this is what I'm doing with the football. And that's exactly what he does right here, right? Flats open, and we're just reading that receiver. We force it in. This should have been another pick six. So you see, the only bad I'm going to reference this entire video are these type of situations, because as I dove through the film from this game and all of his other games, the only bad was him making up his mind pre-snap and forcing the ball into a window that he just couldn't get it in. And I think that's something he's going to fix next season, and that really has me excited for how good he's going to be under new head coach Pete Golding, kind of his head coach this past season as well in the playoffs. But I'm really excited to see the improvement that Trinidad makes with the little stuff like this. Like, this is all the bad in all of his film. If you really look at it, this is the bad, is making up his mind pre-snap, and that was the exact same bad you'd have for Jackson Dart in this same type of Lane Kiffin system. Okay, right here, I think he's really, really good at executing the RPO. Obviously, if we're talking about for the NFL, that's not that important. You're not going to run very many RPOs in the NFL world, but in the college world, especially with the new OC coming in, they're going to run a lot of RPOs just like they did this past season, and he's really great, right? Get to that back foot, get the ball out on time, let your receiver make a play for you, and he can do that, and he can do more than that. He has incredible touch on the football like you see here on the go route. You can even look at the clip where they played Georgia in the round right before this and got to have it to win the game. Throws that football up, gives this guy a chance, puts it on the money. And he's one of those type of quarterbacks. Reminds you a lot of Russell Wilson, right? Can put the ball in the bucket, has that touch on that deep ball that you love to see from your quarterback, where we can get to our back foot and just put the football up, give our guy a chance to make a play. And then here, I really just wanted to point this out. Just look at the arm strength on this play, right? Get to our back foot. Hey, we'd probably say we'd love to hang in the pocket right here and anticipate this seam, might have a touchdown, but we see 24s going with them. So we're like, okay, we're going to roll to our right. Well, they're blitzing a guy at us. And look at this arm strength. We're running to our right. We're getting depth. And this is a 40-yard throw just about. And we're just able to rifle it in there, put it in on the money on the sideline, not let the linebacker or nickel come and break this football up. And that is a heck of a throw. There are very few guys in college football who can make this throw. This is an NFL level arm you see here in Trinidad Chambliss. And a great job just creating that hip to shoulder dissociation on the move, pointing that right foot at his target and putting that football on the sideline. What a heck of a throw there by him. Here's that play I talked about earlier. Third down, got to have it for the game. What are we going to do? We're going to call our own number when nothing gets open, and we're able to just make a play. Don't love the ball security there, but hey, this is one of those situations where we just got to make a play. We want to make them scared that we're going to pitch it out to our running back, and we're going to do what we can do, which is be that playmaker that we are. Here, I just want to go over like how good he is throwing on the run for these last couple clips. Here, rolling out to your right, having to throw cross body, putting on our receiver, letting him make a play. Great job, right? To throw cross body is obviously something we teach quarterbacks. Don't do it ever, but in a situation like this where it's open, you're booting out, you feel comfortable, I don't mind it at all. Just don't lead your receiver into a big hit, and he doesn't do that here. Here we have the 2-point play. We want to go up by 3. We want to really kind of win this football game for our team. What do? Fake the jet sweep the other way, boot out, move the launch point, and then throw an incredible football on the run. Once again, you just see there's not much in his game that really just needs to improve. And that's my favorite thing about Trinidad Chambliss is he really seems pro-ready. And yes, he's a little bit older going into his 5th season. But a guy like Trinidad is definitely a guy who I would love for a team like the Jets, if they don't get good QB play this season, to go after in the NFL draft next year. And here we see the stuff he can do off schedule, right? I don't know how a receiver drops that football, but there is a bat on this play, I would say, right? We're trying to work the RPO right here, put in our running back stomach, get to our back foot, let your guy win one-on-one. You have all this field on the outside to work with. He's taking off going. He's clearly playing a deep third right here. Get that football out. Instead, we try to work back this way, realize nothing was going to be open, and we can still make a play with our legs, throw it to our receiver. Unfortunately, he just drops it. Right here, same thing. That's a heck of a football. Game-winning drive. Got to have it, right? After that huge seam we talked about earlier, great throw. We really don't want to throw in the middle of the field, but we're going to have to here, right? They're not going to give us anything on the outside. And we got this drift type of route here, or backside dig, and we're just stepping up and throwing it on the money to our receiver. Heck of a catch right there as well, right? But just working through it, giving ourselves time, putting it there, now rushing everybody up to the line. Hey, we got to clock it. We got to clock it. 6 seconds left in the game, and we all know what happens here. Should have been a PI call, honestly. But, yeah, after diving in the film, let me know what you think about Trinidad Chambliss. I'm really, really excited to see what he does in year 2 at Ole Miss. I really think he's going to be the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. I think he probably should win the Heisman Trophy this season if a guy like Jeremiah Smith doesn't just go off and absolutely deserve it. The only thing holding him back from that would maybe be his teammate, Kewan Lacey, right? It's very hard to justify a Heisman when you got 2 guys up for it on the same team. But you see, they're just elite traits that Trinidad Chambliss has. He has NFL level anticipation, and he's still in college football. Something you're really, really excited to see, and something that you're not accustomed to seeing, especially from a guy going from a D2 program up to the SEC and playing like he did this past season and improving week in and week out. I'm really, really, as I've mentioned probably 20 times by now, excited to see what he's going to do next season. I'm excited to see how good Ole Miss is going to be, and I'm excited to do my first mock draft after the season is over and see Trinidad Chambliss in my first round because of the traits that he showed here, and he's still got room to improve, and I'm excited to see what that's going to look like for him. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you if you made it this far in the video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and see ya.